Regrets, we've had a few. Unlike Frank Sinatra, however, not too few to mention. Both of us, lots of them. And Marianne has a new one now that I was just singing a little bit. We're talking about being seduced by fancy catalogs, not understanding where a plant might want to grow, loving the size of a plant that you buy, and conveniently forgetting that historically and traditionally plants do grow. Things like that. And for me, and for most gardeners, regrets are usually lessons learned. But for Marianne, regrets are treasured opportunities for self-flagellation. So, since she let me choose hydrangeas last time, I thought it was only fair that in this episode we allow her to suffer through all the mistakes she's ever made because that seems to make her happy somehow. We're revisiting our biggest gardening blunders so that you might avoid them or simply feel better about your own regrets today on the Garden Mixer. Did you like it?
All right. You took me by surprise. Garden regrets. I've had a few. I'm still having them. Currently in the midst of them. And let's start with our drinks.
Okay. Tell me about yours first.
We decided we'd do a cocktail that would echo regrets. And at the end of the day, I was having such a hard day.
I know.
That I thought what I would do is instead of making some cocktail that made me think of regrets, I would just make two, which I will regret tomorrow.
Okay.
How does that work? They're two rum punches. And when rum punch is one of my favorite cocktails. It's so simple. Got to have good guava juice and lime. And boy, when you start drinking those, it's like Doritos. It's real hard to stop. So someone has to physically keep you from the drinks cabinet. So gonna regret that. Cheers. What are you having?
Cheers. Well, I have 3 regrets associated with my cocktail this evening. Number 1 regret is that you're not going to like it. Number 2 regret is that it's so big that I had to get an ice bucket. And that means it's going to be messy and drippy. And number 3 is that there's no way I'm going to make it through this recording without
oh my
going
God.
24 ounces.
Oh, I don't need to see that.
Isn't that awesome? Cheers.
So for the benefit of listeners who are not currently watching the YouTube version, Leslie has just shamefully popped open a Coors Light.
It's the taste of the Rockies times 2 and a nice bucket.
Oh, man, the propaganda of 1975 just called, and they're thankful for you.
I'm thankful for them.
Interestingly enough, I just pulled a very large case of Coors Light off of my countertop because we've had a wedding here all weekend. My son got married.
Yay.
There was family coming and going, and more than one of them is into that Coors Light magic. I don't know what it is.
The silver boulet. That's what it is.
All right. Well,
I
think I'm being more tasteful, but you'll probably be happier tomorrow. All right. We need to move on to Clear Up Corner, don't we?
Yes. But wait, I want to just talk a tiny bit about the wedding more because this is your son, David, and he got married at his bride's parents' home, but there was a rehearsal dinner at your home, right?
That's right. He got married in church, and then the reception was there at their farm, and was one of those sort of country hoedown fun dances. She's half Irish, so there was a lot of Irish music, which was a lot of fun. And yeah, the rehearsal dinner was here, and I found myself going back, and we had about 60 people because for some reason we had 60 people. And between that and the wedding, where we were in charge of, my friend and I were in charge of doing the tables for the wedding. And we went with bud vases with just absolutely scouring the garden for everything we could. I kept flashing back to that live show that we did, the OMS that we did about figuring out what you have and using it. And that is precisely what we did. Used a huge amount of Orlea. Thank you, Orlea grandiflora. If you are wanting something that stays in the vase and is fabulous, Orlea, wow, what a great plant! It's an annual, and I was actually helped along with that by one of our mixers, Jonathan Bykowski, who had mentioned in either the chat or in notes on Substack that he was deadheading them religiously to keep them going through July. Well, I've never done that. Once I,
What?
you know, one
I thought you just
yeah.
did that. I mean, you gave me the seeds, I grew the plant, I deadheaded them religiously. Why do you not are you a gardener? Who are you?
I don't know.
You're busy.
I I'm busy,
Yes.
and, deadheading annuals is just not high on my list, and I want those seeds, and then I want them to come out of the garden, and so I leave a few of them, and they seed themselves, or I'll pull them out, let them dry elsewhere, and then scatter seeds. But I never thought about deadheading them, and as the temperatures were climbing and I was watching, like, I am putting everything I have into this Orlea, and I need a lot of it. I thought, "Jonathan, I'm gonna deadhead it and see if it helps me," and this was going back about 2 weeks previous to the wedding, and I'll be damned, it kept on slugging, and we had plenty. We
Good.
we used all sorts of sort of woodlandy a woodland mix there. So we had poppy heads, we had some grasses, we had a lot of euphorbia, the Willechii I used, which is a fantastic plant. We used some Verbena bonariensis. Damn, I wish I planted that from last time. Just a bunch of stuff. And I just kept coming back to that. You know what? You can do it if you just sort of go, all right, what do I have? What can I do? And then you've got bud vases instead of a huge vase.
And you did
So,
it.
yeah, it was a success. Oh, and
Congratulations.
he got married too. That's right. That happened too.
That guy, that little boy of yours.
That little tiny boy who's all bristly now. Where did that time go? Oh my gosh, I just said something. Old person.
One
All right.
person. Oh, for you, regular listeners or new listeners who are trying to decode things like OMS and mixers, we do have a Substack, which is only for, well, you can go to Substack to look at our notes anytime you want to, but something called One More Sip is our in-between podcast, which is not as long as these, but it's about one more little thing that we like to talk about. And so if you're interested, go to Substack and find us there. All right. So thank you for clearing up the wedding because I did want to hear a little bit more about it. It sounds lovely. I
It
want to
was
clear up
lovely.
opuntia, which is prickly pear, which people are now calling me a hater. I do not hate, only I would hate to have it in my garden. It is a fascinating plant. And the first time I stumbled on it, it was right up here by the observatory at the University of Virginia. I'm like, and it was like fall. It was covered with leaves, as you talked about. I'm like, what is a cactus doing growing on a rainy day in November in Virginia? And so I did my research and I thought, and my sister, who's not a gardener, had a rooftop garden and she was growing it and greatly regretting it. So she ripped that stuff out. Toot sweet. So do not hate Opuntia, would never have it in my garden, just to be clear.
Why was she hating it?
It hurt. It
I'm
hurt
curious.
her.
Was it just all about the got?
It
Okay.
hurt.
It hurt. Mine is really starting to spread. So, there is going to become a time I'll be hacking it back. And I have a new one. I don't know if you saw it, that I shared it on Substack for our mixers. That's the Cylindropuntia, which is a very tall, very awkward, very skinny, very cool Opuntia that has a magenta leaf.
Oh,
And you would absolutely hate that, but it's such a novelty to me.
no, I like
Well, you'd like
magenta.
the magenta.
You hate magenta. Let's get this straight, okay? We need to clear up that you hate magenta and
I
I like it.
do. So it's a testament to this plant and its novelty value. The novelty is, this is a cactus. What the hell is it staying alive over my extreme Virginia winter? How is that happening? So it's very cool. There's a picture of it in the notes, folks. And if you're not on Substack, get on there. That's the in between good stuff.
And we did an episode on roses recently where we said we were going to talk about knockouts, and we never did talk about knockouts. So let me just ask you this. Do you like and do you grow knockout roses?
Well, I think you heard me confess to a criminal
Oh, that
charge
was a
last
knockout where
time.
you stole from your place of worship. Yes, it's all coming back to me now.
I don't think I put it that way, but I was merely providing myself a token of my deep devotion to,
Knockout roses?
no, to my church.
Okay,
Jeez.
okay.
All right, you heathen, whatever.
I know. I like knockouts and they are fabulous. And we didn't talk about them, but there are so many things to talk about with roses that we can move on. And speaking about so many things, Scott Berline, our guest from last episode, was talking about invincible hydrangea. he and I were sure that it was white. You thought it might be pink. You were right. We were right. It's all kinds of things. And so were the Incrediballs. And a complete explanation of all new cultivars of hydrangea, or probably anything, but especially hydrangea, would need a flow chart and like a really comfy seat to listen to a long meeting about which ones are which. So many hydrangeas. Go back and listen to that episode if you want.
This would actually be a great point to insert the idea for listeners who don't understand it, the difference between a series and a cultivar, because series are so popular now. And Invincible and Incredible are both series of hydrangea arborescens. And within that series, there are many different cultivars which are trademarked under that. So, for instance, Bailey's has Endless Summer, and it started out just as the one, it was Endless Summer, but as they got more of them, they made Endless Summer a series, and they have Endless Summer, is it like Raspberry
So many.
Fizz, and
But
so
I
many different
didn't
ones
look at
now.
the names, but I was able to find this cool image, and I could use it because it was Bailey's, and they've given us permission. On the YouTube of that, you point out that there are more since,
Mhm.
I began to notice them in early part of this century. And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I found this, like, there are 9 tubs of different endless summer hydrangeas, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, she was right. There are more."
There and Proven Winners has their, version as well. They have their Let's Dance series, which is also remondened, which means reblooming. Let's Dance Twist and Shout, Let's Dance Rave, Let's Dance so that's the difference between a series and cultivar. If you're just like, "What is with all of these names?"
It's like, what iPhone? I don't know. What did that guy who runs it dream up yesterday? What Nike tennis shoe? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many, so many. Um, we could throw Scott under the bus with one more clear up if you
Yes,
want to.
please. Would
You
love
want
to.
you wanna do that? You wanna do that one?
No, I'd like you to be responsible for throwing him under the bus. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Actually, it was a very funny mistake, the kind of mistake that I would make because I make only really good mistakes. Scott was talking about a family of plants that, like hydrangea, although hydrangea isn't in this family, have blue and pink flowers that are sometimes switching between. And so we're talking about things like pulmonaria or lungwort, myosotis or forget me not, symphytum or comfrey. They're like, are they pink? Are they blue? Sometimes they're the same thing on one plant. And he said the family name of that plant was Pulmonaceae. That's actually not true. It's after
Not
borage,
true.
not
Incorrect. False news. Fake news.
Boraginaceae, or the borage family. So good try, Scott, for making up a new, family name of plants.
Well, we really shouldn't punish him too much because we should have picked up on that immediately and,
Yeah,
you know,
I suppose you're right.
flogged him at once. Have him flogged.
Did you want to book a moment with Durr's new book about cultivars and
I
cereals?
do. This was put into the show notes, links and laughs, but there is a new-ish Durr book about hydrangeas, and Durr is Michael Durr, Dr. Michael Durr, who is a preeminent authority on woody shrubs, and viburnums and hydrangea. And he wrote a book on hydrangea many years ago, I think 2004, 2005. But in 2021, brand new book, not a edited, new version, but just a brand new book on hydrangea and really worth getting. I picked it up and I immediately moved to see the what he said about a particular cultivar that I absolutely hate and which still haunts me because I was too cheap to take it out. But he did not like it either, and I said, "Right, honesty. I'm all over it." So, great book. It is called Hydrangeas: The Authoritative Guide, and it is very authoritative.
And how does he deal with the fact that they're making new ones every other day?
Yeah, I mean,
He writes a new book. Okay.
here is a new book. I no, I mean, it's just dealing with a lot of the very well-known cultivars and some that you might not know as well, and goes into cultivation and all the things. It's a really good genus-specific book to have, if you really want to not have to look through ads to read about hydrangea, but wanna just have a book in front of you. And this is a book moment with Marianne Mulburn.
Last thing to clear up, as always, is how do you become a member of our One More Sip committed community? You go to Substack, and there are your notes, and there's the opportunity to join our merry band.
All right, so we all have regrets in our garden, and a lot of them are from when we were just abject beginners and we did dumb stuff. But we do keep making mistakes. That's how we learn as gardeners. Some of them we're still living with right now. Some of them we took care of. Some of them, like that horrendous bombshell hydrangea that's still in my garden, we can't bear to part with because I don't know, because
I have a theory on why you haven't gotten rid of the bombshell.
yes, why?
Because it costs you money and you don't wanna.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
I bought 9 of them. I wanted them in the
I'd
yes, I
forgotten
bought
there were 9 of
9 of
them.
them, it wasn't 1, and I'm sure we've told this story before, and it was pathetic. It was very weak stems. It was a sort of a roundish blossom that it just wasn't good, and I dug them out, but instead of throwing them away, I put them somewhere else. Because I have a large property, I'll just put them somewhere else. Well, they've not been any better there either. So here's my advice on that particular regret. I wasn't actually going to talk about that regret, but thanks for putting salt into the wound, Leslie.
Mhm.
Um,
You love it. You love it when I do that.
if you make the choice, if you are strong enough to make a choice that a plant needs to go, there is a damn good reason that it's going. You don't like it. So just put it in the compost pile and don't live with it anymore. Don't go into a death spiral with it like I am with Bombshell right now. I'm going out tomorrow and I'm going to cut those damn things down.
Well, see, you have a few other things going on in your life right now. Person whose son just got married.
Okay, so we have put these into categories because regrets aren't just one kind, and they usually fall into groups. And we each have one for each of these. And the first one is just the easiest. It was a terrible idea from the beginning. So, Leslie, what was that for you?
Well, I really wanted this really cool, awesomely wonderful espaliered apple tree that was for sale at my local nursery, and it was one of those ones that was 3 different apple trees grafted onto one
Yeah,
thing,
cool.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna have apples. I'm gonna be just so wholesome, and it's gonna be like homesteading, and I'm gonna pick my apple, I'm gonna crunch into it." Well, I planted it in half shade, and that's not what apples like, and I planted it as it was a beautiful espalier already started, so I worked hard on that, and I got the little it was one of those symmetrical ones that went out and then up and then out and then up. That went okay. So, I'm like, "Well, at least I have the shape even though I have no apples." But then every year it got that horrible woolly aphid thing that apples like. I don't know what it is, but so I don't like to spray anything except I will spray a very hard hose, so I had to do that every year, and then it kinda got my paint on my house all messy. It was a bad idea. I shoulda just left that
Were
stupid
you
man
any
be.
more virtuous from the 1 or 2 apples that you got? Did you homestead, make pies, and stuff?
Never had an apple. No apples in sight. Bad mistake. What was
Bad
yours?
idea from the beginning. Mine involves an apple too. I planted an apple about 20 feet away from a black walnut. And a lot of this had to do with the fact that I had a very small yard. This was my last garden, and my width of my yard was only about 50 feet. And I have sun on one side and not so much sun. So I avoided the shade and stuck it over on the sunny side, but it was within about 20 feet of this walnut. And for those of you who do not have a black walnut in your life, congratulations. They inject something into the soil with their roots called juglans, and it is a growth inhibitor to basically knock out the competition. I mean, it's extremely clever. It doesn't do it for all plants, but apples are one of the plants that is susceptible. And I knew that. I didn't know it like I'd lived it, but I read about it and I thought, they say 50 feet from the root zone, but come on. How bad could it be? Yeah. Struggled, died. There you go.
There
Bad
you
idea from the start.
from the start. Alright, the next one was, I was seduced by a catalog.
Yes. This one still sticks in my mind because I can still see the catalog picture, and this was also in my last garden fairly early on in my gardening career, and it was a buddleia, and it was a Buddleia wariana. honeycomb. So it was this beautiful yellow panicle, and then it also of the bush so covered in yellow flowers. And the reality is that it does not look like that at all. It's very sparse. It can get quite leggy. They were sort of shortened. I was imagining something like a Buddleia Davidii type of length, but in yellow. And I was totally seduced by the catalog. And it's one of the last things that I bought from one of those cheap catalogs that come through.
Well, my catalog story is from a catalog that I really like, and you like it too, Plant Delights. Cheers, Tony.
Cheers. Cheers,
And
Tony.
it great plants. I would very heartily recommend this business and these plants, and they're just so cool, but this was an Abutilon, and Abutilon, what do they call it? Something maple, like it's a fake maple. What do they call it?
Yeah, it's not flowering maple, is it? Maple something.
It's an almost tropical plant, and I
Mhm.
really have grown it to my great satisfaction as a, house plant that I would take out in the summer with these kinda Chinese lantern little bells, orange, which is not like me, but when I saw that there was one that had been cultivated to live in zone 7B, even though I was sort of 7A-ish at the time, probably, I said, "Oh, I'm getting those," and I got a bunch to cover a hillside in the shade, and I was gonna love it, and they were gonna live forever, and I don't think they made it through the summer because they were very small things that I didn't take care of, so
I have never liked that plant. I don't know why. It feels frail to me. It
Mm,
doesn't feel robust. It really can suffer from things like spider mite and a
mhm.
lot of usually if it's tender, you have to bring it in, and then it really suffers from spider mite. So I've never been tempted by an Abutilon. So I did have one that I was given by Bill Quaddy at the Biltmore, and it was one that they have there, and it's got Biltmore in the name, and so I felt really obligated to keep it alive for a while, which I did for a couple years, but eventually I lost interest. Sorry, Bill.
I like
Um,
that Bill Quaddy. He was on my podcast before you were part of my podcast,
oh,
so
well, maybe you should just invite him then to be your co-host.
Alright, what's the
Right.
next category? This plant ate my house, and in my case, it didn't eat
Oh,
my
yeah.
house, but I'm just talking about English ivy, and I'm sure everybody can relate. It just looks so enchanting over a stone wall that I had in my last Connecticut garden. Greenwich, Connecticut is just full of these really, well, recently built impressive stone walls, but also old farmland, let's pile up the stones here type of wall. And that's what I had. And I loved it. And I had this really long, narrow border in front of it. So every time when I was gardening, my garden maintenance routine was doubled by the fact that I was not willing to get rid of the ivy. And then finally, after about 2 or 3 years, I'm like, yes, life is too short. We will be cutting back this ivy. And then I realized, oh, that doesn't matter because on my neighbor's side is where most of the good roots are. Arrgh.
Yeah.
And then I actually finally had to talk with them, and they were kind enough to have their gardener. They did not do such things as that. Um,
Such low things as pulling out ivy. How dare you, sir?
but they're very nice neighbors, and they got rid of a lot of it for me, so I was happier. What about you?
I would like to go back to Rambler Rose, actually. I know we did a One More Sip on roses, uh, and and Ann Wareham on Substack immediately piped up and said, "Ramblers are not bad." And I said, "I'm not saying they were. I'm just saying you got to have them in the right place, right plant, right place. Ramblers are amazing growing up trees or growing over something that is sort of falling down and you don't care, but they're not terrific going up a house because they have these amazing long laterals that can be 20, 30 feet, and you have to constantly be pulling them back. And you think sort of wisteria in a lot of ways, it's the same sort of thing. And this Paul's Himalayan musk for many, many years, I had it up there and it would glom onto one of my roofs, which is just an asphalt shingle roof. And then when the wind would blow, it would just go sh 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 sh
Oh,
sh 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 sh. And I would have like 3 inches of quote sand in my gutters from the asphalt that was the little
oh,
thing it was just
yeah.
sandpapering it off. What wasn't being that wasn't happening there was the runners were going into the trim, trying to find their way. because they'd find any hole. Like if it wasn't caulked, they found it. And so it was an enormous amount of effort for 2 weeks of intoxicating scent and bloom.
Yeah.
And I finally took it down and put in a very well-behaved white dawn climber, which is doesn't have those laterals. So Rambler Rose, great for trees, and swears to me that there are those that are much smaller.
Mhm.
I have not experienced them, so I cannot say. So answers on a postcard. Send us your comments of ones that you can get in the States. But I wouldn't put it up against a house ever again.
We had a comment from somebody when I talked about the Peggy Martin rose, which was that
Mm.
what I thought was a climbing rose down at my friend's house. Kathy Pretty made the comment that it could be a rambler. She said that she thought it was. I looked it up, and I think it's a little unclear, but, anyway, that will maybe change my decision. If it's a rambler, I want one that's rather small because I garden in a very small place.
I would love to see you put a rambler on this, I mean, like your bowling alley, and just be like, "Why? Why
Why?
did I do that?"
And nobody else can ever go there again. Great.
Mm-mm. No, sir.
All right, here, what's your I don't care if everybody else loves it. I bet you had
Oh,
some good choices for this. I really had to think about this one because I like all the frickin' plants.
you love everything? There's nothing you hate?
Oh, a puntia in my garden, but I actually still like it.
Okay, well, I would say my biggest one that a lot of people like that I do not is Japanese painted fern,
Ooh,
Therium nipponicum pictum.
I love that
So
plant.
so you're a love that. You see, I actually went hard on this. I bought a lot of them and put them in the garden, and then I would walk by and I just think, "Ugh, yeah." You're just sort of reptilian and you're out of place, and so I pulled a bunch of them up and I scattered them around, and then I liked them better as an accent, but I did not like them en masse, and
Oh,
I still don't love them. I find seedlings coming up in odd places, which is fun. I love the novelty of that, but I'm not a big fan. Not and I've also grown Ghost, which is a cultivar, which is a little bit better because it's a little taller.
little whiter.
Yeah, I stand alone against the common opinion that it is an amazing fern because it's purple.
Love that fern because it's purple, and en masse, I can see where that might not float your boat, but I really love it coming up from under a little hydrangea or around something else in the shade. It does float my boat. All right, mine is, Tradescantia virginiana, which is just the worst. I could ne I gr That was in every garden I feel like I gardened, and I never planted it there, and it was certainly in my garden. It spreads. It spreads, it flops, you can't pull it out. You have to, like what's the name of the hydrangea that you don't like?
Oh, bombshell, yeah.
Bombshell. I would need to throw a bombshell on top of Tradescantia to get rid of
To
it.
stop it.
Yeah, I hate that plant.
So I have a funny story about that, and that is this year for the first time that I've noticed it, it bloomed in my garden because the deer just eat it down to nothing. And so I'm walking past an area of the garden and all of a sudden, "Whoa, what is that?" And it's blooming and I thought, "Oh, and I don't like you blooming. You're out." So
So had it flopped yet? Because it will.
it hadn't because it always looks like hell because the deer are just mowing it down, mowing it.
But now that the deer aren't there, so it blooms, yes, and now it's gonna flop, and then
Yeah,
you go to
yeah.
cut it, and it looks like deer have eaten it because there's no way to cut that thing without just looking at the raw cut marks, no way to do
Yeah.
it gracefully, and then
No.
my other problem is that there's a cultivar called Kate that says that it doesn't have these problems, and for me, it did. So me and Tradescantia, no good. No good at all.
You're not a match made in heaven. I going to do my best to get that out of there because it's not really adding anything at all.
You cannot do that with a trowel, let me tell you. You need a bomb
Alrighty,
shell or you
alrighty.
you need, a backhoe, you need something.
Alright, so this one is sort of a reverse of that. I bought it, but didn't love it. I bought it because everybody loves it, and so I thought that I should love it, and when I say everybody, I mean rare plant nerds
Oh,
who I am extremely susceptible to pressure from. Now, interestingly, we do actually have notes for this show, listeners, which either one of us may or may not look at. And I notice that Leslie does not actually have one for this. And I think you're going to say, you don't have one for this because you're not susceptible to that kind of pressure. Am I correct?
You're absolutely right. I don't have one because I don't feel that kind of pressure, and I don't think I've ever bought anything I didn't really
Because
want.
you're extremely well adjusted. So here's a real confession. This is really a confession. This is an embarrassing one, and then I'll give you the plant that particularly I don't like. Um, but many, many years ago, it was probably 20 years ago, and a friend of mine was going down to Plant Delights, and he asked me, and this was a plant nerd friend, and he asked me if I wanted anything from the catalog. And I didn't really at the time. I was still trying to deal with all of my garden and we had no budget and all of that. But I felt like I probably should put an order in just to remain like, oh, yeah, I want those. I'm telling you, this is a terrible confession. It's an embarrassing one. Um, and so I just randomly grabbed like 2 or 3 plants, something within like like probably their least expensive. It's like going to an expensive restaurant and going, "I'll have a salad." I did that.
And this particular wine, which is the only one that's under $100.
That exactly, under 20, baby. And so he brought them back and I thought, "And now what am I gonna do with you?" And it was a moment for me to sort of sit there and go, "Wow, you are so affected. You really came under pressure. This is not good, Marianne. You've got to see to this." I've never done it since, but I have bought plants that I've thought that people, thought that I should probably have, and I have done that. But just sort of randomly buying a plant because you should buy something rare or you should have something rare in your garden. Don't do it, people. Your garden should be yours. And maybe I'm talking to like 3 people right now because
Well
everybody's well adjusted like Leslie.
well, no, and here's the other difference, I think the bigger difference. I may or may not be well adjusted, it depends on the day. But I don't have any nerdy plant friends. You're my only one.
Thank you so much. As time goes by, you begin to understand who you are as a gardener and what you want from your garden. And yeah, you do maybe want some rare plants and you want a lot of common plants. You want something in between, but getting what other people think you should have is just so dumb. And it's like being in high school. I'm going to do another analogy here. It's like, or metaphor or simile. What am I doing? Tell me what I'm doing.
Something.
And just getting the jeans that everybody else is wearing. There's no point in it. So for me, the plant that's currently in my garden that I do not like is Bomeria spicata, and I was given it by a friend, who is a very, very good plantsman, and he gave it to me and said and this is one that Dan Hinckley brought back from Korea, I think, and I really like Dan, and I really love all of the plant exploring that he has done, and I thought, "Oh, great, I'll take that," and then this thing grows, and it's just like an overgrown nettle.
Oh,
But I finally last year took it out and said, "It's just ugly. Sorry, Dan. It's just ugly. I'm pulling it out. I don't like it." And then I'll be damned if some of it stayed. And now I'm faced with the same problem again. I saw it yesterday. I'm like, "What are you doing here? I thought I made that decision. Now you're telling me I need to make it again."
this is what compost piles are for.
I know.
Yeah, I can see why if you have friends like that who are constantly talking about things like that, you would definitely be susceptible. I would too. I just have
Yeah.
friends who like to hit golf balls and, know something about gardening, but
So do you get influenced, like, the right golf shorts to wear or the right
oh, yeah.
club to have or that type of thing?
Yes. Is my
Be honest. I
personality
was just painfully, embarrassingly honest. Be honest.
yeah, I definitely
Okay.
like what I like, but I am looking if a friend walks in to play mahjong and she's got on the cutest shorts, I'm like, "Where'd you get those?" Yeah,
Now
absolutely.
that's different because you like them.
Okay.
It's different because it's sort of like, "Oh, this person is wearing that or doing that, and I probably should do that too." Not, "Ooh, I love that. I want it." It's very different.
Oh.
you see.
No, yeah, I don't think I spend a lot of time doing things I don't like to do.
We well adjusted. You know, the funny thing is I don't do that with clothes, I don't do it with house stuff, I don't do it with cars, I don't do it with anything else.
But
Yeah,
plants,
but plants, I used to do it. I don't now. I know who I am as a gardener,
yeah,
I'm so much better, but, I mean, that maybe that's just being over 50, I don't know.
so damn proud of
Thank you. Thank you so much. This
you.
has been really emotional for me.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, more regrets, more regrets. I planted it wrong. What did you plant wrong, Les? Did you do anything wrong? You're so damn well adjusted.
No, I definitely I make somebody I'm walking around my garden today, I'm like, "That's a regret, that's a regret." Things just aren't growing very well because I really miss good soil, and I've only been here for 2.5 years, and I'm doing the best that I can to build it up, but I buy these squat little coleus plants, and they're the same size as when I left 3 weeks ago. Now, we've been in a bit of a drought, and they haven't died, thank goodness, but I'm like,
Mm.
"God, they just hate this Virginia red clay." Anyway, that is not, what I was gonna talk about.
You were a victim?
I was a victim. This was sort of the seduced by a catalog thing because do you know this plant? It's called honeywort, Cerinthe major purpureus. Do you know it?
I don't grow it, no.
But you've seen pictures of
Yeah.
I'll put a picture in the YouTube edition, y'all, and it's a cool little plant that just looks so groovy in Annie's Annuals, catalog, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta have that." And it wants full sun. It almost reminds me of that really cool rosemary that has the bracts and not flowers that makes it look like part of it is pink, and I'll think of the name of that rosemary at a different date because it's clearly
Mm.
not coming to my head right now. This is grayish blue glaucous, green, foliage that sort of ends up in this purple thing, and you're like, "Is that a flower? Is that part of a flower? What is happening here?" It almost looks like a caterpillar that's ending up cooler than when it started. And so I bought a bunch of them and, nothing happened. And then I found out, "Well, you idiot, that's not where wants to be. It wants to be in full on dry sun." Come to find out, I go to tour my garden that I moved away from, and it has self-sown everywhere in the full sun. And I'm like,
Ugh.
there it is, and I don't live here anymore, and I wanted that plant, and now I don't know if I'll ever have it." So
Mhm.
that was mine.
When the plants tell you what an idiot you are.
Yeah.
And we should actually skip ahead to that category, um, as a good segue. When the plant keeps telling you, "I don't want to live here," and you keep saying, "Oh, no, I need you there." So what it I know you've done one of these. What is it?
I had these wonderful 2-ball boxwoods that were growing in very good sun at my old garden, and I said to them, "And now we have no choices. I want you to be wonderful little symmetrical, such symmetry, such grace, such beauty on either side of my,
So Charlottesville.
on either side of my fireplace. I have these windows. They sit there and I measured them up and I made sure they were even. One of them is in decent sun, enough for a boxwood. Boxwoods are wonderfully, tolerant of lots of conditions, but the other one is in full on shade and they don't get any rainwater because they're under eaves, and I sometimes forget to water them, and they are finally now saying, "You know what? You haven't been treating us so well." What I'm gonna keep trying with them, even though we've got some major big brown things that I need to pull out, and I should just switch them, give
Oh.
one full sun for a year or 6 months and then switch them again. So we'll see, but I have not been a good plant parent to those
Okay,
guys.
so I just twigged. You didn't mean inside as a houseplant on either side of
No.
your fireplace. You meant outside because I'm going, how are you coping with the smell of them inside?
No, they're outside, but they seem to be part of
Okay,
the inside. They're part of my
gotcha.
interior decor
Okay.
from the outside.
Mine is dahlias, specifically my very favorite, Mystic Illusion, that I just keep putting back into sandy, often quite dry soil because I just need them there. I know that they'll pop and look amazing in the summer, and I've done it 3 times now. I've just done it one more time, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna water them every day. They're going to get water," and that hasn't worked real well in the last week, and they're just look like hell. And I just need to I need to go away from the idea that there's going to be dahlias happy in that space. They need a lot of feed, they need a lot of water, they need some nice, rich, humusy soil. I mean, they can survive in those conditions, but I can't give them what they need to nurse them through it.
What about a
So
container right there? A really deep container?
Yes, I could put containers in there, but I think it would look weird, and then it would definitely be on life support.
Yeah, that's true. A better soil, but needing more
Yeah,
water.
it was more meant to look like a big en masse of perennials, basically, and because there's such beautiful black foliage and beautiful yellow flowers. But anyway, they've told me 3 times. I won't listen. I just keep nursing them, and there you go.
These plants, they're not well behaved sometimes.
They aren't. How about I wish I'd taken better care of it?
So, funny story, you recommended something called the African blue basil on one
Yes.
of our One More Sip episodes when we were talking about, herbs, and I was, "Oh, that sounds awesome, super cool." So,
You ordered 3, didn't
I
you, of
ordered
that?
3 of them.
Okay,
I
yeah.
put them in the garden, and their root system was about the size of a pin. I got them from Etsy. I got them from a very
Ooh,
oh, and you can
danger, Will Robinson.
yeah, it is dangerous, and then you can also leave a review, and you can also read the reviews. So, this person had obviously wanted to get these off of her hand. She probably had a
This
bunch of
criminal sorry, I'm sorry, what?
well, it has a good ending. I planted them, whether it was the fact that their root system was the size of a pin or whether it was the fact that we have rabbits and they might like African blue basil, they were gone within 12 hours, I think. I was like, "Wait, what where are these plants?"
And they're dead.
No sign of them. So I wrote to the really nice Etsy person and I said, "Hey, these weren't great. Can you help me out here?" And she said, "Sure, I'll send some right away." And I said, "Oh, I'm about to leave for a few weeks." And she said, "When do you want them?" And I got them just as soon as I got back. They are this tall, that's like 4 or 5 inches tall, with a root system that is visible, robust, and exciting. So they are on my kitchen windowsill now, and I'm gonna plant them, and I'm gonna put over one of those, I have these straw kinda cloches, so the sun can get in, but the bunnies can't. And that is how I will plant them, and they will survive.
Fantastic, and I think you were gonna really, really like that, and they propagate vegetatively. You can just put them in water if you wanna, like, keep them through the winter if you want.
Oh, okay.
Alright,
Good to know.
so mine is, Euphorbia catinofolia. And there are so many euphorbias, and I love pretty much all of them, but I really love this one. It's a euphorbia that looks like a catinus, like a smoke bush. It has a red leaf, and it's tender, and I have to bring it in, and it really needs stasis, not just cold storage. And I go through a lot of tropical plants and subtropical plants over the years, and I am definitely one who says, "Hey, relationships change with the plants in our lives. So don't feel like you have to have the same thing every time. And just because it's rare doesn't mean you have to have it. And this is one of those plants that I really, really, really liked and really needed to take better care of and make sure that I had every year because I like it so much. Other things can sort of shuffle off and it doesn't matter. But I let this one shuffle off after 2 years, and it was a gift, and now I've gotta go find it again, and I don't even know if I can trust myself to take care of it again, but
Aw.
dang. A, I wish that thing was hardy, and B, I wish I could be more responsible. But
Put down the cat o' nine tails.
I was just like, "Oh, you're so bad, Marianne, jeez." Like, so there's other things that they die and you go, "That's a little bit of a relief, actually."
I just lost my, yeah, I forgot the name of the plant, so
Your
but
memory?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, I did. Alright, the next category is I ignored the mature size, and, I actually I've done this this is my second go on this mistake, but luckily my soil is so poor that I have not reaped the not
The
rewards of
full
the
rewards of
mistake,
this.
yes. So it's the, Salix integra, the Hakura nishiki, which is that wonderful variegated one with the sort of pinkish reddish stems, you know that one?
I do. I was actually just propagating some more of that this spring. I love that one. Now that I don't have deer, I want it everywhere.
I say pinkish reddish stems, and they do have them closer to the foliage, but I think that the actual bark on the trunk is green, is it not?
Yeah, it's not or greenish, not gold, but like, on the yellower side of green.
It's a very interesting plant,
Yeah.
and so
Also known as flamingo, right?
is it? I didn't know that.
I think it's
Okay.
known, I believe.
So I planted that. I was like, "Oh, that's a cool plant." And my son in his garden has a full-sized one, which is, it threatens to eat the house every year. Those things get big. And he just made a lollipop out of it, and he sent me pictures, and I was like, "Oh, honey, great job." He'll never watch this podcast, but
Oh, you didn't like it as a lollipop.
did not like it
Well
as a lollipop there, but I wanted to grow it as a lollipop in a planter in my old garden, and it was a planter that I had sort of built of these big rocks that were in the gardens, and my rule of thumb for pruning is that it's gotta stop at 7 feet. I'm about 6 feet tall, and this is my reach, and I'm not gonna climb a ladder for you, and I just could never get that thing out of control, and it just continued to grow. Why do plants do that when you don't
I
want them
don't
to?
know.
They don't
So
listen.
wrong.
I know.
No, they do not. Do you what about just taking it down to the ground every year? I mean, it's a willow,
Yeah.
just coppice the hell out of it. Do you not like that look or
Well, there I wasn't smart enough, so now I've geared myself up for the same mistake twice because it is growing in the bowling alley. Just planted it last year.
oh, shoot, really?
Yes. Can I be taught? No, I cannot. And so
Apparently not.
I'm like, "This is gonna be great. I'm gonna espalier it against the wall with these other Japanese maple."
Espalier a willow?
This is why we have regrets, because if we didn't start to do crazy things, we would never have regrets. I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay. I thought you were spelling an acer. Weren't
I
you?
have I have several of those, and they're
Okay.
adding to my weird espalier collection.
Okay. You can write that as a book, The Weird Espalier by Leslie Harris. All right, so mine is something that I'm dealing with right now and trying to decide, what do I do? Do I take it out? It is a one Supressus, now Calotropsis, basically the Nootka cypress. And it is a weeping one. This is me weeping. And it was really a very interesting tree. It really is a beautiful evergreen tree. It loves where it is. It took a couple years, but it loves where it is. It's now about 15 feet tall. And I'm realizing it is just badly placed. Like I would never put it in there right now if I had a choice with a mature garden. But at the time, the garden wasn't mature. I was just sort of putting in plants as I found them. And I liked this one. It's gonna get to be 30 feet tall, and I need to now that I've seen how big it is, I mean, how big it has gotten and the shade that it gives, it's okay right now, but it's only gonna get bigger, and I can take it out myself right now. I don't have to have somebody else take it out for me, but it feels like such a waste of a beautiful tree, of an interesting tree, because I was an idiot. I could have put it somewhere else, and I'm not digging that thing up.
Yeah.
So I'm right now mentally going, do I take it out? How will that change the look of the garden right now? And does it matter because the garden will be changed by the look of it being 30 feet tall?
How is Michael when it comes to presenting him, like, with, "Hey, honey, oh, you were gonna get a workout anyway? What about this?"
Oh, I do that stuff. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
But I thought you said that you would not take it out.
Oh no, I meaning that I can take it out right now. I physically can take it out right now with my little 14-inch Ego chainsaw. And it'll come down and it hopefully won't kill me. If I wait much longer, it will need to be taken out by somebody else and it will cause a lot more damage to a lot more things. And so I'm just feeling like maybe I need to make that choice now.
Yeah.
And I hate to take out evergreen accents in the garden. I don't like taking out evergreens. They give a lot of bones, but it's given the wrong bones. So big, big mistake, especially since it's happy. If it was just unhappy, it would be so much easier.
Alright, so I was gardening for Fantasy Me, is our next category, and this was back when I had
It's
my
our
business.
last category, I think, because we
It's
didn't make any other mistakes.
no, no, no mistakes. Back when I ran my gardening business, thank you, um, I had an order for a dozen, those little remontant and variegated, azaleas, and somehow that order went wrong, or I ordered too many, I can't remember the details, but I had these 12 or 14 little, azaleas that were, they would bloom again. I don't know what they call them, but they were going to bloom again. Well, red flowers. So green and white variegation and red flowers. So fantasy me thinks that, first of all, that I'm going to like them someday. I don't like red. Fantasy me thinks that if I plant them in the far corner of a very large garden at the top of a hill where there's no running water, that they will live. And fantasy me put them in the ground and, and then like a week later said, huh, that didn't work out so well, did it? And so they became the bottom of a new compost pile right up there in that corner that I never watered and never would. So that
So
was,
wait a minute, I wanna understand this better. So you paid good money for them,
well, I paid, my kind of money, which is not retail.
money, and then you put them into the compost pile, and you did that, and you just, like, moved on, and now it's a story?
Well, no, a week later they were dead. There was no,
Oh, they were dead. Okay, alright, so they made the choice for you.
yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
was okay.
But the fantasy was that they would ever live. I mean, they were so root bound. They were so ugly. They were so like, and I'm sticking them in the ground, and I don't even know if I watered them when I planted them. It was so, the whole thing was a fever dream that should never have happened.
I
Sorry.
thought your fever dream was a perennial bed that you put in. Or that was a different fever dream?
That's in the notes. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about the azaleas.
So many mistakes, so little time.
I know. All right. Go ahead. Finish it off. Finish me off.
All right. Well, Fantasy Me is currently looking at a mistake that I have the potential of making. And maybe listeners, you do too, where you're feeling a little bit in control of your garden, just a little bit. And in control is obviously a relative term. You're feeling like, okay, I can handle what I've got. It's time for something new so that I can feel strung out again. And we have just cleared the only real possibility for a south facing hillside in my stream valley. And I'm thinking Mediterranean, I'm thinking Paulo and all of that stuff. And then I'm thinking, what are you thinking? I know you want to play with these plants and this palette, Marianne, but you cannot look after that. Fantasy you can look after that, but not real you. And so I'm standing at the cusp of a very bad decision right now where I start putting plants in and they disappear and I get upset and then all of a sudden that area of my garden is on my radar instead of it just being a wild area.
How can we help?
You could take a serum of your blood and inject it into me, I think. And maybe that's all it takes to change my DNA and weirdness and just crazyville going on in my head. I don't know. Or I could just sell my house and move to the Mediterranean on a quarter-acre plot.
And just instead of all the plants to take care of, just have Paolo.
Just Paulo to take care of. Yes, I mean, Michael may have problems with, I don't know, but, All right, those are our regrets.
Regrets, we've had a few.
We've had a few. Don't ever sing again, by the way, on that note.
I'll try not to.
A very big welcome to our newest paid mixers, Jennifer Coles, Tracy Hankwitz, Tyler Harris, I think you know that name, Ann Brown, Pam Smith, Mary Wright Baylor, and Allison Gorham. Thank you so much for supporting our show and loving what we do. We are the biggest fans of our biggest fans, and that's you on One More Sip. And if you need to get in on all this happiness, go to Substack and subscribe to the Garden Mixer podcast and then become a paid subscriber. And you too will get that in between episode and get all the stuff around what we're doing tonight.
When we say things like mixers and OMS, which stands for One More Sip, and blah, 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 you'll be in the in crowd. By the way, Tyler Harris is related to me. In that photograph you see there,
Right?
she's probably about 8 years old. Well, that was 30 years ago. She is a fine, fine gardener. And when we did our live OMS, I had this thing that I had cut flowers from her garden. I just grabbed this. I'm like, I need something to put these flowers in. And I grabbed this off of her back porch. And so I held it up. And when we were doing our live, one of our followers chimed in and said, oh, that's from Amazon and it's for paintbrushes. And we're like, oh, cool. I had no idea that that was my daughter.
Leslie continues to protest that she's not making everyone in her life become a mixer.
I'm not.
I think the evidence is stacked against you, Leslie, every time we do one of these.
The last few, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she joined. Oh my
Nobody in my
gosh."
life is listening to this. I mean,
Well, that
it's
gives you
like
more freedom. And I could say whatever I want about my son and my husband. All right, so we have, I have a really important comment to make, one that is incredibly important to me. And Tapster 232,000 on
okay.
YouTube said, "I'm with Leslie Harris on the Fred Astaire issue. He had a mediocre voice at best." Boom. All right, moving on before you have any time to
That
respond
is going
to that.
back so far. I can't even remember
But people will
what
care
we were talking
that people will care that I'm right and you're wrong. And then
Okay.
somebody who calls
All right.
herself the impatient gardener,
Someone?
someone who her name is Erin Shannon, and she said, in response to my naming gardenia as one of the damn I wish plants, she said tearfully, probably, I couldn't tell because it was, typed up. "As a gardener in the North, I am offended by the haphazard throwing around of some plant called gardenia." And so I assured her that I'm going to undergo sensitivity training, and sorry about
You're
that.
quite right. Well done, Erin. You tell her. That's outrageous. And I
Outrageous.
just for the record, I think I had a very, very hardy plant. I think it was like hardy to zone one for that one, just for the people who felt left out.
So happy for you.
Let's talk deer fence and let's talk your front yard real quick. Just an update. My deer fence update's a fun one this week in that I had an incursion. I had a dirty incursion by a deer, but it happened to be a fawn,
How big?
tiny, like,
New.
a week old. The reason that I knew that it was in my garden is because I heard it bleating, because I knew that one of my dogs must be involved.
Oh god.
So I immediately yelled at Badger and made my way over to this spot, and it was Mungo. Deaf and blind Mungo, old man Mungo, who's being replaced by the young Badger, and it was Mungo, and he looks up, and the deer looks up, and he hadn't hurt the deer. He has killed fawns in the past, so I need you, all of you deer lovers, to not look away. Well, if you're watching YouTube, look away. Or
I'm not gonna put graphics of this on
stop
YouTube
listening. There
first.
will be no graphics on this, but he has actually taken down young fawns, and he's also had the absolute kicked out of sorry, out of him by deer. He's got some old war wounds from that. So he took it down, and I got him off, and the deer was unharmed, had no puncture wounds, nothing like that. Then I suddenly went, "Wait a minute, what are you doing here?
Excuse me,
How'd you get
sir,
in?
can
You
you just show me?
know."
Tell me about it. Tell me all about it.
And so we caught it and picked it up and looked all over it, made sure that it was unharmed. And then we put it outside the fence with its mama, who was making little
Concerned?
snorting sounds on the other side. So there you go. Very
Did you
exciting day.
ever find out how it got in?
I do not know. I mean, there are some places in the fence that are low, that to the ground, things can get underneath. Now, I don't think it belly crawled, but I did know of a friend of mine. She has dairy cattle, and cow gave birth against the fence,
Oh.
and the calf came up on the other side of the fence
Oh.
and was sort of half caught in the fence because it was up against it, and there was a thing there. So that did not end well. This ended just fine, but this fawn was so new. It could have been. I mean, you know how you have to brace when you're having a baby. So maybe it was bracing
Oh
against
god.
the deer fence, ironically.
Maybe.
Ironically bracing against the deer fence.
Nothing new on my front garden, although I did hear a kind of a juicy HOA story, because I'm involved in this long-term landscape plan for our neighborhood, which is not going well because people around here don't seem to like plants. But we're not supposed to have our rubbish bins out for, I don't know, a reasonable amount of time after they've been collected, the garbage has been collected. But these garages in these places are so tiny, and this one applicant said, "Could I please build a nice tasteful lattice surround for my bin because it doesn't fit in my garage, which is only for one car that barely fits?" And they said, "No, because you can see the bin through the lattice." And then I
Oh
went,
my god, I hate them
"Oh
so much.
my goodness, this is where I live." All right, moving on.
Don't give
Right.
people power. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Sorry.
Moving on. Damn, I wish I planted that up in just a moment. Wait for it. Damn, I wish I planted that is all about plants that you're seeing in other people's garden, if not in yours, that you're like, ah, really sad I don't have that one because you like it so much. And you could just assemble a list of things that you might want to go for and plant in the fall to have next summer. And mine for this year is a fabulous summer plant. And I know yours is too. Do you want to start?
Sure. I was given my plant by Carol Reese, who's a guest we're going to have on here in a couple weeks' time. And she said this is the best sedum you're ever going to find, and it's sedum taxonomy. I think that is the way to say it. But it has the worst name. It's very, very hard to remember, and it doesn't really have a common name. So you just have to find it. And worse yet, it is not the Atlantis cultivar, the variegated cultivar that I'm talking about. It is the straight species green that I am talking about. It is a beautifully low mounded sedum, probably no more than about 6 to 9 inches. It has these wonderful, wonderful leaves, foliage, and then it has this yellow blossom that covers the plant, just, a huge big thing of yellow. Sort of like Angelina, or Angelina's floppy and this is just strong and stays low and it's gorgeous. And then here's the cool thing, which I did not expect, is that those flowers turn brown. Yeah, they're gonna turn brown, but they turn brown and it's beautiful. It's
Oh,
pretty, it's interesting, it's a whole new part of this plant. So, overall, this is a fantastic one to get hold of. This is totally a pass along. This is hard to find. If you're looking for it, you're gonna be inundated with pictures of Atlantis, which is the variegated. But going back
wow.
and talking to Carol about it, she said that the variegated does not do well for her. But the straight species does well, and to everybody she ever gives it to, it does really, really well. So look for it. It's hardy zones 4 to 8, so it's a nice, nice little sweet spot there. Great, great plant.
I have a question.
You
When you
Yep.
say sedum, I am now thinking, because I am coachable and willing, Hylotelephium? Are we supposed to say Hylotelephium?
No, no,
No.
no, not Hylotelephium.
Okay.
But it has actually been moved into a new genus, which is just makes you crazy because they took sedum and they just cut and diced with sedum. To Oh man, it's like Phaedra or PH something. But I think most people know it as sedum tachycamense. But don't worry about the new name too much. It's hard enough to find it under the old name.
Which yeah, oh, I'm complicating things. All right, mine is so simple, so simple. It's the Shasta daisy, and probably the
Oh,
best cultivar is Becky, and I've grown
yes.
right? I think
Agree.
yeah, it's a really good so this is Leucanthemum ex superbum. I like Becky. It's the one that was introduced to me when I first started working for a gardener up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I just took her at her word where she says, "Okay, out of all these, this is the best one. Out of all these, this is the best one." And so I always planted Becky, and I grew it in a huge the stand of Becky in my front border, and my whole garden was probably 3 by 3. It was very big, very satisfying, kind of middle dark green foliage. And when they come up all together in July, it's just like this sea of shining faces, yellow faces with these white petals. So this is, it's a daisy. Couldn't be more simple. And they're smiling up at the sun. Pre-pruning can help, although grown correctly and they don't want a lot of water, they are not going to flop for you. But if you have the flops going on, pre-pruning really helps. I had mine going in a place where some baptisia had just gone over and some cleome or maybe some ricinus were going to come up. And so it was a really nice contrast to that. I enjoyed, because I'm a weirdo who likes to do things like this, the deadheading afterwards. Like echinacea, you could just chop it and I guess you'd get the same results, but it was really fun to look at the individual stems like you would on an echinacea and just say, okay, well, where's the next vertical coming? Where's it? I can see that little baby coming off the side. I'm going to cut there. Time consuming and ridiculous behavior. You could just chop it and you will get a rebloom. But I enjoyed the smattering of blooms that resulted in sort of the more artful, nuanced pruning. And do you grow this plant?
I love this plant. And I was just when you saying deadheading it, I'm whisked back to my early 30s when I used to deadhead it. And I had a tiny garden. And it was so worth it because it would keep blooming and blooming and blooming. It never flopped for me. Fabulous plant. And the other thing I loved about it, because I was seriously on a budget, was not only can you divide this plant, and you really should, but it creates little plantlets on the stems that have little roots, little bud roots on them. So study those stems, and you'll see these tiny little plants that you can take off and stick just gently into the soil and keep moist. And there you go, Bob's your uncle. Maybe you can
That's so
sell those at a plant fair and make some money for your kids' shoes because I was like, all right, going to town on this here. This is a great plant. I love Becky.
deer and rabbits will eat it, but that's not their
Mm,
first choice by any means.
yeah.
And, again, it doesn't need a lot of water, so it's a really good one. You all, we have done it this time. We have regretted nothing, about talking to you about all of our regrets. Blunders are good in the garden. That's how you learn.
There.
And Marianne
Mhm.
loves them.
I do, and I do tend to beat myself up over a lot of them, but that's just me, and it's freakish. Don't do it,
Don't do it.
because that's truly how we learn. Be well-adjusted like Leslie. Don't be more Marianne. I think that's the lesson so that you will not have any regrets in life.
No regrets. All right, see you next time.
See you next time.